What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. A lot to talk about on this edition of the podcast. Got some position changes. Robby Washington, hugely talented, athletic, wide receiver, moving to the cornerback position. This is a move that we've been asking for over a year on the CanesInSight podcast, so we're excited about it. We'll have comments from Coach Cristobal, Coach Guidry about that move. Also going to look at some ProCanes making waves in the NFL, get you up to date on the latest as far as guys who have graduated and made plays on Sunday. Also going to go through some huge performances from Miami targets and just monitor that Miami recruiting class, what's on the horizon and what guys are doing right now. First, I want to talk about some folks that are always doing business right now and always looking out for their clients. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, live from Florence, hopping all the way across the Atlantic, it is Peter Ariz with the Duomo. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Been walking around, moving around here in Florence this morning, and excited to hop on here and talk Canes, Ball State week. I know we're talking a lot of recruiting today, D, and then a move that you've been pretty much predicting for over a year now, and you've been on CanesInSight. You've listened to the podcast. It's something that you've mentioned a few times, and that is Robby Washington playing cornerback.
Yeah, let's start there. So, Pete, take us all the way back to March 28, 2023. We like to write the bank on CanesInSight for free. We also do it here on the CanesInSight podcast to give you the absolute latest things that you might not be seeing elsewhere. And one thing that we mentioned back March 28, 2023, Robby Washington is playing flanker and getting the ball in numerous ways, including jet sweeps. This is just my personal opinion, but I believe he ultimately ends up as a hugely talented corner. More than a year and 6 months later, here we are. Robby Washington has officially moved to the cornerback position. I think it is a phenomenal move for him. We've seen Sam Shields make that move late in his career, ended up being a Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning cornerback because of his speed and athleticism. That really, to me, is what you're looking at here. Not saying it's going to have the same result, but just taking a great athlete that is lost in the shuffle of wide receiver and moving him over. Herb Waters, another guy that moved later in his career. So very, very excited to see what Robby Washington can do in that position. And we have some words from Coach Cristobal about that move to the cornerback position from Robby Washington.
Robby's an excellent athlete, really good football player. Unfortunately, he's had some nagging injuries since he's arrived here at Miami. And it just so happens that, you know what, we need a little bit of help at the DB spot. In practice, we've done it with him before, and we've done it with him before because whenever we do tackling drills, when we do coverage drills, his natural ability to bend, right, to come to balance, to strike, ball carriers is, it's special. He did some in high school. If you watch some of his clips at safety, just a very natural guy. And when we threw him up there in press coverage and some of the one-on-one stuff we were doing this spring, it was evident. He's super talented. This guy, we believe that he will be an elite corner. Okay, I know those are strong words, but he has the ability to get on people and stay on people, and he's smart, and he's tough, and he's a good guy. So, we look forward to continue developing him.
And if you're just listening to that on the audio, or if you're watching here, the audio is a little low on the Cristobal press conference yesterday, so you may have to turn it up a little bit for that specific clip. But D, I watched Robby a lot in high school, and I think the word that I would use to describe him is feisty, right? And he played both sides at Palmetto, but even when he had the ball in his hands offensively, he was, again, feisty is the word that I would use to describe him. Has put on a lot of good weight. Told me before the season that he was weighing around 195, right? So had probably put on about 20 plus good pounds of weight. So obviously, if you're going to play defense, you need that. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the move, and I think Cristobal kind of echoed a lot of the stuff you said about him.
Yeah, I know Lance Guidry also chimed in on the move. So let's hear what Lance Guidry had to say about his newest cornerback, a position that he needs some help in, with Robbie Washington moving to the position?
You don't know that. It depends on what happens if he's just moved over to it. So he's starting brand new, and that's hard when you're starting brand new. So just kind of plugging him in and playing things that, that he can be able to obtain right now. I mean, because he just moved, he's got to understand all the language, all the lingo. So I think it could be long-term for him. Of course, he's a really good athlete, and I think he can do all the things he needs to do to play in the secondary.
Tell us about.
So, Pete, why don't you, I dropped the link in the rundown. Why don't you put up the highlights of Robbie Washington Sr. year while I talk about him a little bit, and really this position in general. So it's a position that Miami has not recruited very well relative to other positions. It seems like you hit on OJ Frederica, 3-star corner, now starting as a true freshman, had a really nice pass breakup on Saturdays, tackled well. Again, has been the starter both games and looks to be the starter for the foreseeable future. Damari Brown, talented sophomore. He's going to be out for a little bit. We'll get him back later this year. But in terms of just young guys in the pipeline, we've not recruited well. So when you add a guy like this to join a Frederic, who, by the way, was a receiver in high school, a converted guy himself, although he did play more corner in high school and came in as a corner. Frederic was a guy that returned, like you see Robbie Washington returning here, played receiver and did a lot of different things, and then translated the corner very quickly. When you get a guy like Robbie Washington doing the same thing, now you have two athletes that have size, more than enough size, feisty, like you said, and had the ability to do something with the ball in their hands, which Miami's lacked. Antro Roll, when he caught the interceptions, would return to the house or had the ability to. Same thing with the Phillip Buchanan. Miami has lacked that ability. Tyreek Stevenson had some of that. You saw him do it in the ProCanes section we'll talk about here for the Chicago Bears. But Miami, I think, has lacked those dynamic players, athletes at the cornerback position. You've had technicians, Daryl Porter, very good ACC player. But you need to upgrade the athleticism to be kind of in that Alabama, Georgia tier of Ohio State tier of the cornerback position in particular. I think this move is not guaranteed to work. It could easily flop, but I think physically you have the traits and you have a chance, and you're betting on upside. You're putting Robbie in a position where instead of just being another athletic wide receiver who maybe needs to refine his routes, needs to refine his hands, has a chance to let his athleticism show at a position like corner where athleticism really, really matters. And you watch him here in his high school highlights. I mean, he's making great plays, but a lot of it is just being an athlete. It's not like this is a polished technician. He's someone who gets you on returns. He gets you on end arounds. He does have some route running and quickness. He's not a stiff, straight line guy, which is going to help him at corner. He has balance. He has change of direction. But really, this is a dude who was an athlete playing receiver, and now he's an athlete playing corner, and I think that just suits him way better and gives the team a chance to have a young developmental corner with NFL upside that they so desperately need. As you see here, boom, see that hit right here. I guess that wasn't him, but look at him with the ball in his hands. See him moving.
And D, I think you got to really give the kid credit too, right? Because and I've seen some people make comments like, oh, he should have stayed there when he was playing it, months ago, right? When he was toying around with the idea of it, but from everything we heard, he had a strong spring at receiver and he was making plays there. Mario has talked about time and time again that he's a guy who was ready to help them win games, right? So to me, it's like almost adding another recruit, kind of how you alluded to at that position, except you already know the character, you know the athlete, and he's obviously a guy who seems willing to do whatever the team needs to win games, right? So I give him credit for accepting it. And it seems like he's been all in on the move. He's posted about it, and it's got to be encouraging for him as well to hear the stuff that Mario's, just said about him publicly.
Yeah, no question. He commented on the CanesInSight Instagram post saying, I believe it was something like it's God's time. We're on God's time, basically showing patience, but at the same time understanding that things happen for a reason. And ultimately his goal is to get in the NFL.
And he's young, man. This is his, he's been here for how long? This is his second season, right? So it's like people give up. I think the fans sometimes just, we want all these guys to be instant dudes right away, but sometimes they need time to develop into finding their role. And I'm very hopeful for him in this spot right here.
Yeah. And by the way, I did see him make a lot of plays in spring and fall camp. More so in spring because he had some injuries in fall, but he is extremely explosive at the college level, and that's what stands out. Most of the big plays he made was just catch and run, bombs, being athletic. It's not like he was riding people up consistently like maybe some other guys do. But in terms of being athletic and just running by guys, he did that, caught a couple touchdowns from Judd Anderson. Broken plays, he'd get behind guys, catch the ball, and outrun everybody. So that's really what he did, was be athletic. And I think that's going to translate very well to the cornerback position. And it's something we're all excited about.
So moving along here, D, again, great call by you on the Robbie Washington move. And again, you can see all of this at CanesInSight.com. Join the discussion. We have surpassed 7 million posts, correct, D?
Yes,
Did
sir.
that, Florida week. So on to 8 million, 9 million, and 10 million, and many more than that, we hope. But sign up for free, CanesInSight.
Yeah, we've been around forever, because now as I'm looking at these ProCanes, I remember when all these guys were getting recruited and all the threads on the CanesInSight message board. And really, to me, the most dominant ProCane who we'll start with for the Buffalo Bills, Pete, we talk about position changes. This is a guy who was a wide receiver and a safety in high school, has shifted to defensive end, and has really taken off. And that is Greg Rousseau. Look at him here. Just the length, the athletic ability, the pursuit, the motor, playing the run, playing the pass. He is somebody who people in Buffalo all camp have been talking about him becoming a truly impact player, an elite top 5 pass rusher. You see that there, a game-changing forced fumble against Kyler Murray. I've always loved this guy. I love what he's made of mentally. He has such supreme physical gifts. I never understood why he slipped to the end of the first round. I thought that was stupid. People get so caught up in little technical details of the pass rusher position and forget the fact that this guy's going to get better and better because of his work ethic and his tools. And I think you're seeing that here. This guy never should have slipped to the bottom of the first round. And I'll tell you who's happy about it is the Buffalo Bills. Although from what I hear, Pete, you know this better than anybody, I think Rousseau might be in for a major, major payday after they picked up his 5th-year option.
Well, and listen, a guy who was, for as raw as he was coming in, was dominant immediately and didn't play that 3rd year with the COVID season and all that. But if you talk to some Bills fans who, again, maybe don't know the game very well, but they were ready to, not call him a bust because he's had really good moments, but they've been looking for more consistency from him, right? So I think now understanding he's been playing ball for long enough now that he is finally can fully tap into that physical skill set that he has. And yeah, I mean, I think that the timing right now is perfect for him as he's going to be looking for that new deal. And I mean, he should be a top 2 to 3 guy paid at that position. And that's how, I'm not saying he's that right now in the league, but that's just how these things go. And he's one of the next guys up here to get paid. So hopefully everything comes to fruition for him.
Yeah, don't take it from us. Von Miller, who's a little biased as his teammate and mentor, said this guy, he said there's 5 truly elite pass rushers in the league. Of course, Von Miller's been one of them for many years. And he said Rousseau is now one of them in his view, from what he's seen in camp and his development. 3 sacks to start, always been a dominant player against the run. If he can keep this pass rush going, become a double-digit sack guy with how dominant he is against the run, with his ability to impact passing lanes with his length, you could be talking about, one of the best defensive players in the league. I think that's in the cards. And he's still a young guy, looking up his age now, because he came into the league young. He's only 24 years old. So he's got a lot, and he's going to play the whole year at 24 years old. So he's got a lot of great football ahead of him.
Speaking of, few more guys here, man. It was a banner week. It was history being made. DJ Dallas with the first, dynamic kickoff return in NFL history. So, I mean, talk about DJ there, and obviously coming over from the Seahawks this offseason, a guy who has played, every single role, it seems like, in his football career, going back to high school, even as a quarterback, right? And he was recruited by some schools as a quarterback. But you see him here in the return game for the Bills. And, I mean, I think he can continue to make himself a major weapon in this league, especially with this new rule.
Yeah, and DJ, the guy you interviewed a couple times back in the day. And I remember we were some of the first people to call for him to play running back just because of the body type. You see how big he looks on this return. So once he moved there, started playing a little Wildcat, you saw the Notre Dame game, and it was kind of off and running there. Also a really good punt returner. I know this is a kickoff, but he's somebody that just with his versatility, high IQ guy as well, he's going to stick around the NFL for a while. Returns like this will make him even more valuable. I'm surprised he hasn't found more of a niche as a pass catching back. I could see running wise how he's not, elite NFL kind of guy, although he has some running ability. But I thought maybe passing game, he'd be someone who could make an impact. He's done a little there, but really special teams, I think, is where him and Travis Homer both have made their name. Homer, of course, on coverage units, and Dallas on returns. But this was an awesome moment. History made. He will be able to tell his kids this for the rest of the time. And I think you mentioned it, Pete, that his running style kind of fits this new rule, which everybody's kind of learning about as we go.
Yeah, and I think when you return, something, when you do something like that, game one, you earn yourself maybe some more touches within the scheme of the offense, right? So hopefully, and I know that's something that he wanted when he was at Seattle, and that's one of the reasons. Seattle would have most likely wanted him back, from what I understand. But I think he saw an opportunity here to have a bigger role with the Cardinals, and I believe he had been training and living there in the offseason pretty much his entire professional career. Might have had a place there too, so maybe some familiarity there, some comfort level for him there, and maybe the best part of his career is still ahead of him here with the return stuff. And he doesn't have that much wear and tear on his body, if you really look at it. I mean, he didn't. It's not. You look at Miami, and if you have to look at the carry numbers, but it wasn't like he was a bell cow back for Miami. He has been a third down back and a utility player for the Seahawks. He keeps himself in good shape, so he could really carve out a nice career for himself moving forward here in Arizona.
Yeah, excited to see where his career goes, and he's joined by a lot of Canes, man, that are making money, adding years to their career. And one guy who's really, to me, the most inspirational story of the day is Jalen Phillips. This is someone who's in line to make major money. He was ahead of Rousseau. I thought Rousseau breaking out as a pass rusher. Phillips already was one of the top pass rushers in the league, at least in his age group. Tore his Achilles, which is a crippling injury for many people. And you watch these highlights here. He looks, I mean, if someone told you that he was the same, that he never got injured, if this was the film from before that Jets game, no one would bat an eye. I mean, he looks exactly the same. Had an incredibly impactful sack that basically helped win the game for the for the Miami Dolphins at Hard Rock. See the pressures here. He looks like Jalen Phillips, and that means he's going to get paid a lot of money. There's the sack there to basically help win the game. He looked like Jalen Phillips. He looked like the same Jalen Phillips that we saw at Hard Rock for the Canes, doing it for the Dolphins, sacking Trevor Lawrence, which maybe we could have used back in the day when Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers kind of dominated the ACC. But good to see, man. Awesome to see what he did after that injury.
Yeah, and a couple more people to go through here, D. What we skipped over, Tyreek Stevenson with the Chicago Bears had a pick six, 4 tackles, couple pass breakups, and I mean, a guy who has really started to blossom into one of the best corners in the league, D, in that scheme up there with the Bears.
Yeah, and the other corner,
RM guy, by the way.
Oh, there it is. FRM guy we've been covering since South Dade. Then he went to Southridge. Always been a high prospect. I love him just because of his physicality. He was so big and strong for a corner. I mean, he could really hit. I thought he'd probably end up as that kind of like that big nickel, like he played at Georgia. He moved to Miami because he wanted to be a corner. Georgia thought he was more of a big nickel, kind of a Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of guy. He viewed himself as an outside corner. And look, bet on himself, went to the Canes, ended up getting drafted in the 2nd round. So it's not like his draft position, maybe he could have been a 1st rounder, but he's had the opportunity to play corner. And now he's going to get paid as a corner, which is a more highly paid position. And he's proven he could do that. I haven't watched, his whole Bears career. I've seen a lot of his highlights and big plays, but he's pretty much lining up at corner and doing his thing out there. I don't think they're moving him around too much.
He is. No, he is.
So
yeah,
the pass deflections have been a ton. He's given up some big plays, but he's made some huge plays, including this game winner against the Bears. And the physicality and toughness, he's always been, really from a cornerback standpoint, I would say elite in terms of just his weight, because he's probably one of the heaviest corners in the league, and his ability to strike, which is like a hard-hitting safety at that corner position.
And then we will wrap it up with a guy who is back home in Miami here, Calais Campbell, who he said he's been texting Coach Cristobal. We always talk about Coach Cristobal's texting abilities, and Calais Campbell says he was pretty happy with what he's seen in the trenches there early on from the Canes, but he had a sack early on in this one, and I think should be fun to watch this stage of his career here. It does not look like he's lost a step.
No, he was awesome for the Falcons last year. Looks like it's going to be a huge addition for the Canes, hitting the jumper there. This was the first play of the game, I believe, on defense after he was in handcuffs earlier in the day with Tyreek Hill. Of course, man of the year, Walter Payton man of the year, getting handcuffed. That was a controversial incident, but man, it shows you the strength of mind this guy's got, which we always knew he had, to just go back, refocus, and do what he needed to do to win the game. He's somebody that, to me, is a Hall of Fame player all day. I think he should have more Pro Bowls than he has. He's an impact player late in his career. He's just, there's not much drop off from what he is now to where he is. And he's just a very, very physical, powerful player against the run who can still hurt you against the pass, can deflect, kind of a lot like Rousseau in terms of the multi-dimensional impact, but somebody who's a thicker body guy and allows him to just really hold the point in a way that's unique at that position.
Listen, great week for ProCanes, man. I can't lie. It's been, the last few years, it's up and down. You have a good week, and a couple guys will make plays, but it seems like there was a very strong effort in week 1 of the NFL.
No, man, I'm excited, and I'm excited to talk about this next Miami institution. We're talking about some Miami institutions here. Want to talk about Islas Canarias, who just opened up Islas Canarias Express. Pete, pull it up in the rundown. Let's show them this website here. The beautiful website. Islas Canarias, those of you who are in Miami, Cuban or not Cuban, if you just like Cuban food, the absolute best Cuban food in Miami has always been Islas Canarias down south, southwest. It is now moved up to Dadeland. So you can go to the Dadeland food court, Dadeland dining pavilion, I guess is the official term, and you can get the same quality Islas Canarias food, the best croquetas in Miami, voted pretty much every year. You can get that right there in Dadeland at the food court. Again, this is exactly the 7 types of croquetas you're familiar with, including the OG ham croqueta, which is unreal, but also different options. Gluten-free. They got everything on top of the originals that you love. 7 different types of croquetas, voted best in Miami. Get it right there in Dayland. Or if you go down south, you can go to Islas Canarias. If you want to go more upscale, you can go to Finca. Eileen Andrade, who is the daughter of the owners of Islas Canarias, had a beautiful Finca table and tap restaurant down south, which has Korean food, Cuban food, upscale, unreal. So you got the whole gamut here. But the Islas Canarias family of restaurants is just untouched when it comes to Cuban cuisine. I'm speaking as a customer. I go there all the time, have been since high school. It is the best. And if you don't believe me, ask a Cuban. If you're in the comments and you've been out there, let people know, because I know that if you know, you know. Also, if you want those Croqueta County shirts that I've been wearing, the Isla Canaria merchandise, you can get that at croquetacounty.com. Same people, Isla Canarias. It's official. Let people know that you're with the cause. So again, love this sponsor. He's very, very close to my heart and to my stomach. So shout out to John and the whole team out there at Islas.
All right, D. So I know we wanted to get to some high school stuff because some Canes recruits doing well this weekend, and we'll show you guys some of the top clips. So who do we want to start with here? Gerard Pringle.
Let's start with Gerard Pringle, running back, a guy Miami really, really loves out of Armwood. He went against a very talented Tampa Bay Tech team with a lot of Division I players, 24 carries, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, led his team to a 31-27 win. So this was not like one of those highlight reel games when you're playing a bad team. Look at the moves there. Where you're playing a bad team and you're just putting up, highlights against kids. This was a real, not necessarily college football type game, but the closest you're going to get at that high school level, particularly in the Tampa area. And he showed up and was a big time player, hitting the game winning touchdown, 3 touchdowns on the day, 120 yards. Just show that he's not just a speed back, although he is extremely fast with that 10-8 speed. He's very much an in between the tackles back, not the biggest guy, probably 5'9" and 5'10" and stout, but he can run in between the tackles. He can hit big ones. He's got incredible toughness, contact balance. He's a real running back. When you put him in a rotation like Miami, he's going to give you a lot of big plays because he does have game-winning, home run type speed, but he's also going to give you the grit. This is somebody who I think is a plug-and-play guy, similar to Jordan Lyle, not necessarily in style, but in being a proven player who's played big-time games that will play as a freshman, either as a kick returner or as part of the rotation. Miami absolutely loves Jared Pringle, and they're fighting off teams like Alabama and Georgia for him. He's a top 10 rated running back in the country, and Miami believes he is definitely in that conversation. So really excited to see Jared Pringle continue to develop. This was a huge, huge test for him. He already put on a show with Travis Powell against Norland. Now, one of the top showdowns in that Tampa Bay area, and he showed out, and led his team to a gritty win.
Now, D, we talk about how the Miami staff will continue to evaluate the guys that are in the class and guys outside of the class, all across the country. One guy that they are definitely excited to have gotten when they did, before his stock rose even more, has to be Dalen Upshaw at wide receiver, who's been having a spectacular senior season.
Yeah, I mean, every time I watch this guy's clips, I just pray that we can hold on to him. I know Auburn's in the mix. Obviously, he's from Alabama. Auburn losing helps here. But when you watch this guy line up, I mean, he has everything that you want in a receiver in terms of what succeeds. Look at that suddenness with the route. You adjust to the ball. The hands catcher gets his feet in. The things that play a receiver, maybe not the highlight reel Mark Pope type highlights where he's just running goes, but in terms of route running, play strength, look at him adjust to that ball. And then, I mean, all that play right there, you saw him adjust to the ball behind him with his hands, break a tackle with play strength, and then make a guy miss with sudden quickness. So that's just on one touchdown play. But when you talk about suddenness, route running, play strength, hands, IQ, production, run after catch, you see him just breaking tackles, making guys miss. This is one of the most productive receivers in the South. He has all the size you need. He's going to be a solid 185, 195-pound receiver. He's strong for his size. He catches everything with his hands. And then the suddenness, again, I think that's what I didn't know coming into this year, was just how sudden and explosive he was. But he's showing you that. His coach says he's one of the most high IQ players he's had. And again, I'm just trying to figure out what we're missing with this guy, why he's not a high 4-star player. But Miami's been getting underrated guys in Alabama for a while. They got Cole McConaughey, who played against FAMU, who forced an interception. Cam Pruitt, who got an interception at linebacker. So Miami's been to Alabama to get this caliber of recruit. Guys basically rated in this range and has had a lot of success. And Dalen Upshaw is another one. I think Auburn is definitely going to make a play for him. But look, if Auburn's continuing to struggle to throw the ball and Miami's filling the air with footballs, you got to feel good about that if you're Dalen Upshaw.
Yeah, without a doubt. And another guy that they absolutely love in this class that I think we both agreed early on with their assessment, D, is Brock Schott, tight end, who plays both sides of the ball. I mean, he's extremely impressive as a defensive end as well.
Yeah, last year my favorite player in the class was Elijah Lofton. This year it might be Brock Schott. Different kind of guy. His body type is more lean. He's also not the tallest guy. He's more lean, but look at the speed of this guy here. He's got verified time from the combine, 4.5 type of guy. You see him just run right past the Indiana competition. He's too fast for everybody. Hands catcher, forces incompletes, gets sacks on the defensive side of the ball. Very productive, very tough and physical. You see him run down the play here. Just a true football player. Notre Dame likes him at linebacker. I think he could easily play there. You see him here at defensive end doing his thing and causing chaos. But I got to think playing that Elijah Lofton role where you just get the ball in his hands. You saw those screens to Elijah Lofton. You can do the same things with Brock Schott. Schott's probably not as quick as Elijah Lofton in terms of making guys miss, although he does have a very good shuttle. But straight line speed, I give the advantage to Brock Schott. He's extremely explosive. Here you see him at H-back, again, very similar to what Lofton does, blocking this guy into the second row. Just adding football players like this who do everything and have athletic traits on top of it that's verified in a combine setting. That's what you want. He's also a basketball player. Just checks a ton of boxes in terms of what you want as an athlete, what you want as a football player, and what you want in this program to be your identity. Because look at that. Just crushes a guy, knocks the ball loose, and it goes in the end zone. I mean,
these are all one-game highlights. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, and Lofton was the same way. I mean, Lofton would score a touchdown running. He'd score one receiving. He didn't play a ton of defense because Gorman was so stacked, but Cristobal said he'd be our best linebacker, one of our best linebackers if he played there. So when you recruit football players, with athletic ability, verifiable athletic ability, and versatile athleticism who do different types of things, good things happen. And Brock Schott is as good as it gets. I'm extremely excited to see this guy in the class.
And then we'll wrap it up here with Bryce Fitzgerald. I know Columbus got beat up pretty badly against Aquinas, but he still had about a minute's worth of clips here, starting with kick return.
Yeah, I think with Bryce Fitzgerald, his athleticism translates no matter who he's going against. I mean, this is St. Thomas, and look at him returning this kick. You see the speed, you see the explosiveness. If he can get more consistent with the physicality, which is the big question with him, he could be as good as any player in the state. He has good size for a defensive back, and his athletic ability is just eye-popping against good competition. And his ball skills are tremendous. Again, you see here with the kickoff from both angles, the burst, the explosiveness. This is St. Thomas again. All those guys are going to be D1 that he's just running right past. And then when you put him at safety, as you see him here, he gets picks. It feels like he gets a pick every single game. He certainly did last year, getting 10 on the whole season, and probably get double digits again this year. But look at the ball skills. Look at the movement. It's so easy for him just to go and pick that pass off and then give, make a guy miss and go to work. You just hope this guy, the light comes on from a physicality and consistency standpoint, because if it does, you are talking about one of the absolute best players in the state, if not the country. Special upside, but he has to bring that grit. You're not worried about that with Jared Pringle. You're not worried about that with Brock Schott. With Fitzgerald, you need the athlete and the playmaker to turn into the complete football player. And then you could have, again, a truly impactful 5-star type talent in the secondary.
Yeah, big week for some of these commits. And every week here on the CanesInSight podcast, we'll be bringing you the latest when it comes to the top performances. And then guys on the radar, of course, the bank D drops that pretty much every week when it comes to the recruiting info, all free on CanesInsight.com. Go sign up. Wanted to talk about Asset Dash real quick, D, the market leading portfolio tracker and rewards program where you can do everything from tracking your investments, earning rewards, and now buying over 1,000 different cryptocurrencies on Solana natively through the app. Earn additional coins when buying through the app. Visit them on assetdash.com. Scan this QR code to download. And remember, Canes all caps for a premium Asset Dash Gold membership, free for life. Again, Canes all caps at sign up.
No, Asset Dash. That was Bryce Fitzgerald dashing on that kickoff.
Yeah.
A certain asset for Miami's recruiting class. Just hope he keeps bringing it. We talked about the CanesInSight message board, 7 million posts and counting. And this segment, we're going to be doing it every single day, which I love, bringing the boards and the engagement from the boards to the podcast, kind of bringing the worlds together, which is the post of the week brought to you by Miami Hurricane Team Store. This is a funny one today, which is Colorado sucks. I mean, the post speaks for itself. This is really more of a thread than a post, because this has got thousands and thousands of views, 8 pages of replies of people just really, really having fun with
Trenton Breeze getting in on the action here, the young lion.
Yeah, Colorado can't stop a runny nose. I mean, people are just ripping for 8 pages. Colorado. I'm a Colorado fan. I want them to do well, maybe because I grew up when Colorado was good in the early 90s. So I kind of want them to get back. I love the uniforms, love the area. Dion, I've always heard he's a great guy beyond some of the hype that's around him. Like, people in the locker room like him. But look, this team right now, I don't love, obviously, the roster construction wise, the trenches should be better than what they are. He's patchworking that part of the team, seems to be not working. I think Shedeur Sanders is an extremely talented quarterback. I love the way he plays. I think he's NFL all day. I don't love some of the comments he's made about his teammates. I think Dion's willingness to throw players under the bus has rubbed off on the quarterback, and it goes from, accountability, which is good, to maybe some divisiveness and just not the right, mode you want, especially when you talk about offensive line. So to me, that bothered me. But it's a lot of fun. As you see Pete scrolling through the CanesInSight front page, click that forum button and you'll see the forums with 7 million posts and counting. It goes all over the place. But yeah, some people said it should be called Colorado Insight because that Colorado thread is so bumping as far as people just ripping on Dion. But as you can see, a lot of topics here on the CanesInsight.com forums. And this Post of the Week is brought to you, as always, by the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Pete, pull up the tweet, Miami Hurricane Team Store. This is MiamiHTS.com on the web. If you're local, right across the street from the campus at next to the Thesis Hotel, right on US 1. They had a great signing on Sunday. Mish Powell, Damian Martinez. You see some fans posting pictures from that event. We're going to do a show there probably later this week. Just an unbelievable spot. They got everything exclusive. MiamiHTS.com. If you're not local, if you are local, just stop by the Thesis and they got you covered. Another signing coming soon. We'll keep you posted on that. There's going to be a lot of Canes Connection events, a lot of player opportunity meetups at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. So stay tuned here. We'll keep you posted on that. But Pete, I want to ask you about Colorado. What's your view of the Buffaloes, since there's such a hot topic? People say, why are you talking about the Buffaloes? It's a Miami podcast, but somebody talks about them because they always get the most engagement.
They're obviously they're a lightning rod of activity. I enjoy watching them. I think that's good for college football. We talk about the blue bloods so much. I don't hate on them. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but I kind of just sit back and enjoy the show. I think Shedeur and Travis Hunter are really talented. Is what Dion doing there sustainable? No, but I'm not gonna doubt that he can acquire talent and it can be, entertaining to watch at times. And those guys are going to go on and be high draft picks. And at the end of the day, he did his job with them. Right now, can he build a program? He did it at Jackson State, so I'm not going to say it's completely impossible, right? So I think some of that allure is always going to bring very talented guys in, and as long as he's coaching at the college level, wherever he goes, there's going to be a microscope on it. So I find it entertaining. I don't see it as a threat to anything Miami is doing right now at the end of the day.
Yeah, look, obviously there was a short-term deal with his son and with Travis Hunter. If he wants to be there long-term, I think he needs to hire somebody from that area, maybe from the Midwest, who can recruit offensive linemen that are there for the long haul and develop them. I was not that far away. Kansas State's not that far away. Nebraska was just overwhelming them in the trenches, is not that far away. Those teams are able to identify guys in the region that can play. You can go to Texas too and get guys. You can go to California and get guys from where they're at. There's enough offensive linemen in the area that you can recruit to a school like Colorado if you put the effort in. So I think that's, if he wants to be there long term, he just needs to go back. You can still get transfers, but you need to get some good high school players in the trenches like Mario has done. And then, maybe not to that level, but that vein, and then supplement with the portal instead of just going all portal. I think that's unfortunately just not going to work for a team like that. But Travis Hunter continues to amaze. His conditioning, to me, I think conditioning is one of the most underrated traits with these elite athletes. And look at a guy like Sean Taylor. Everybody always talks about how much of a freak athlete he was, which he was, but his conditioning, he would run to practice from his house in the NFL, which is like insane to me. He'd be running past Clint Portis's car on the way to practice. He'd run on the highway when he was a kid. So conditioning to me is underrated when it comes to those elite athletes. And I think someone like Travis Hunter is showing the value of just truly special conditioning. So fun to watch, but that those trenches are not going to allow them to have too many wins with their schedule coming up.
Agreed. So we'll be back tomorrow, D. Hopefully I'll be able to be on here again. It's a travel day for me, but hopefully we can squeeze it in. But as we are every day, Monday through Friday, CanesInSight daily podcast. Are we doing a live this week, D? I guess we'll figure that out as well. But
if the people want it, we'll make it happen.
All right, everyone. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. CanesInSight. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out CanesInsight.com, completely free, and go Canes.
Go Canes.
Yeah, this an insight to the Canes, and we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew, down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news. Cause it's all about the you. And nobody do it like CanesInSight. Nobody do it like CanesInSight. Nobody do it like Canes